Welcome, everyone, to Influential Leadership Tips. I'm John Hadley.
And I'm Dave Miller. And today I wanted to talk about a concept of influence. I want to tell you a story that happened to me with a client recently. And on this project, I'm in charge of the change management aspects of the project. The project's about putting in new technology. It's a new way for people to look at their business and analyze their business. It's a pretty big change for this company and for the employees. So I'm helping to get people ready and engaged with the new functionality. And so we have tools and a process to do that. There's a way of surveying the employees so that I know exactly how they're responding to the upcoming changes and what kind of support they need. So I'm going through area by area, getting this kind of surveying ready. It's a customized survey and giving it to different employees so we can get those kind of results. And I approached one of the areas and the leader of one of the areas, and his response was very different. He was not real receptive. Like, he asked me a lot of questions and said, why do we need to do this? And, and he was pretty well set on, hey, I just want the functionality. My people are ready to go. They're engaged. They don't need any training. Just give us the stuff. We're waiting for the stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so, we talked a little bit. I just wanted to make sure I understood why we're doing it. And he asked, hey, are you doing this to justify the project? I said, no, it has nothing to do with that. It's really to figure out how to best support the people in our training or whatever else they need in communication, so forth. And he just wasn't having it. He just didn't think he needed it. When we talk about levels of tension in one of our earlier tips, he was in apathy about doing anything like that. He basically said, look, we don't need it.
Right. And you can't get anywhere with someone who's in apathy. You're barking up the wrong tree if you try and.
Well, that's right. So I looked at where his tension is around that. I looked at where his tension was high, and his tension is high on just getting the functionality. So it was a very short meeting because I did not argue with him. I did not try to convince him. I did not try to influence him. I said, okay, that sounds good. When you get the functionality in 4 weeks, I want to come back fairly soon because it sounds like your people are going to be up and running quickly and get success stories from you. And he says, yeah, fine, come on back. Now, actually, before that, he was saying, well, you're okay. You understand where I'm coming from. I'm still very supportive of the project. He was kind of taken aback because I didn't argue with him. I didn't try to convince him. And my point on this is two things. One is, there's 2 points. One is, remember the rule is always pay attention to tension.
Mm-hmm.
I knew right away, like John, you're saying, you can't convince someone who is in apathy. It's just too hard. It's too much work. And you're going to risk making the relational tension between you very high. In other words, they're going to get annoyed with you.
Mm-hmm.
And all this is to say there is a timing aspect of influence. Influence isn't just about knowing great techniques and you apply them and they magically work. You have to look at the right windows of time to apply those techniques. This was not the right window. So one of two things is going to happen in this situation. Either this guy is totally right, knows his people, he knows what he wants to do, and it's totally right. I will say that most times when we do this, the manager lets us do this, we find out that he has no clue where his people's tension is. Mm-hmm. But he may be right. And if he's right, great. I'll come back. I'll get some great success stories, and it'll be great to communicate to the rest of the organization to get other people on board. No harm, no foul. Or he's going to find out the hard way that he was wrong, and we'll do work then. Then he's going to be more willing to listen. So influence has a timing component. You need to just be cognizant of that when you're dealing with people.
And, another thing that came out for me in that story was the reaction he had to you not trying to convince him, that he actually then worked a little harder to try to convince himself and show why this is the right way. So he actually had influence by doing the unexpected, by not trying to push against him.
Yeah, it's almost like in sales, we talk about this technique of the takeaway.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I'm not going to force this on you if you don't want it. And then they wonder, well, am I turning down something that might be valuable here?
Right.
So, and that's okay because look, it's not a one-time. interaction. This is someone I see a couple times a week
Yes.
in passing. So we'll have other opportunities. So the key for me was I don't want to hurt the relationship. He might be right. I don't want to say he's wrong. Let's see. We'll find out. It's not a big deal.
Yeah, you have a lot more influence when you focus on the long-term relationship than you will focus on, I need to win in every single conversation.
Right. That's right. Because the relationship is the foundation of your ability to influence someone.
Mm-hmm.
And they need to know you're listening to them. So,
Good point.
you know, I wasn't really in the position to argue with what he was saying. I may disagree with some of the points he's saying, but he could be right, and we'll find out, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So, anyway, you know, I don't know if I have a specific homework assignment other than just keep your eyes out and just be, you might have tried to influence somebody and it didn't go well, and it might have been because the timing was not right. So that's my tip for today. So think about that. Think about some past situations that maybe didn't go well, and kind of debrief those, and look for that when you have opportunities, or when you're feeling kind of a sense of maybe this isn't the right time. That's okay. So with that, have a great week. We'll see you next week.
And until then, be influential.